Well, hello there. What's up, curly-haired lady?
Hello, happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday to everybody. It's nice and, well, half sunny here in Las Vegas, but still a little bit on the chilly side.
But it's over 60.
Yeah, it's nice outside, actually. It's really nice. What's up, everybody? How's our week been? I don't even remember. I'm like, what are we doing here? Who am I?
I feel like I worked my butt off this week.
Yeah.
I really did.
Do you feel like it was productive and all the rewards have been reaped?
No. But I worked really hard this week. I don't know about you guys, but it's been a week. I feel like, and also January has lasted 72 months. That's all I have to say about that.
It's true, but then we're going to get into February, which actually this is the leap year, right?
Yeah,
so
we
we
have-
actually get 29 days. Thank God, because I'm like with the way sales have been kind of up and down, and who knows what. I'm like I don't need a super short month, especially when we're going to be traveling at the end of it. But I did name the show today. Are we fighting an uphill battle? Because it does feel that way. Like I think things are going okay, but it's like we're both making a lot of changes in our businesses, and I feel like I am seeing the rewards of that, but it can be really, really hard, especially in the moment or like within a week or within a few days. It can be really hard to see it.
Well, when you have that reseller roller coaster, right? We talk
Yeah.
about it. Everybody talks about it. One day you're going to have like $800 in sales and you're like, yes, I got it. And then the next day you have $12 in sales. You're like, what the, like what's happening? So, I mean, consistency, we know consistency is key, right? We all know consistency is key. That's not a big secret. But yeah, and January is generally a very busy month for
Yeah.
reselling, and that has not come to fruition this month. In fact, my sales are way down than they were from December, while normally they kind of stay consistent through January.
Yeah.
So, and I am hearing that that's happening with a lot of other people, and obviously a lot of other outside factors that USPS has been having a lot of delivery and delay issues all over the country with a lot of these storms and some huge backlog that happened in Texas. And, so I've had a lot of like, where's my package and lost packages this year. I feel like even more so than I have maybe the last 10 years combined, I feel like.
I will say I had one package
So.
that got lost all over the holidays, and it was Ground Advantage. And I had to wait the 45 days. I refunded my buyer. He was very understanding. He even left me a super long, super nice feedback. Because I took care of him, and even though
Good.
he never got what he was supposed to get,
You handled it professionally.
yeah.
So.
And so I filed a claim. And you guys, I mean, I forgot I got it in the mail, right? Did I not open it? I don't think I opened it. Did it get thrown out?
You may have thrown away your refund.
I didn't throw it out.
I didn't get the mail. You may have.
I think it's downstairs. Anyway, I did get the refund on it, so it is what it is. But
Yes, and so many returns on eBay. I agree, Crystal. Yeah, it is. I mean, tis the season for returns, right? We all know that returns are definitely accelerated in January. That's just a given. A lot of people return gifts. A lot of people are slammed with bills after the holidays and have a lot of remorse and regret on what they've purchased. That's kind of the normal cycle of
Yeah.
retail in general. I did read our friend Joss Oman had commented in one of the posts in our boss
call her
Facebook group.
Joss?
Jess, I don't know why I just called her Joss.
Am I
Sorry.
crazy?
You did. You're not. I said that. That's not what I meant. But anyway, Jess had commented, and she had commented with an article about retail returns in general, which are hovering around 40% right now. That's
Crazy.
just an industry thing. I'm certainly not seeing that that level. Geez, I'd want to.
I
I'd want to
haven't had
jump off
that
a bridge.
at all.
But they definitely are up a little bit.
Yeah, they're up. They're not even up what they have been in years past. So for me, it's been totally fine. Because again, I think in general, when it comes to the kind of stuff I'm selling, it just usually isn't a problem. Like dudes know what size they wear, they know what they want, they bought it, they're not going to return it. But I can see in general when you're looking at, especially like women's clothing.
Oh, yeah,
and
the
stuff
returns
that's like
are-
non-vintage stuff, especially.
I mean, I have 5 to 7 returns open at any given time.
Yeah, but like non-vintage stuff where people are just buying just regular clothes to wear. With the way it is on Amazon, I think it's just the natural, like it's just the way it
It's
is
buyer
now.
mentality. I mean, I think we've Amazon specifically and a lot of other larger retail establishments have conditioned buyers to just return things. And that's not something that we're going to change. We have to be able
Yeah.
to accept returns. I don't do free returns, but we have to accept returns. And I think that is not really going to change a ton. I have been seeing there's some schools of thought with this and some not. I don't do a lot of buying on eBay in general, but a lot of people have commented and mentioned in our group and in other groups about eBay is sending out this message after you purchase something about being able to return it.
Like, hey, are you still happy with your item?
Are you still happy with your item? Would you like to? Yeah, the seller accepts returns. That's not necessary, guys.
That's somewhat anecdotal. So tell us in the chat if you bought. Tell us in the chat, or after the show is over, tell us in the comments if you've experienced that as a buyer on eBay, if you've actually gotten an email that's like reminding you that you can return something, because we do want to hear more.
Because a lot of what I've purchased is like shipping supplies and stuff like that. So I don't know. But I and people returning things for no fit, like Liz says, that doesn't bother me. I put my measurements, but you know what? We have all done it, especially women. And I sell majority women's clothing, especially women. You all know that a size 12 is not a size 12 is not a size 12 is not a size 12. And you don't know how something's going to fit on your body until you try it, unless it's a brand that you're familiar with. So I expect returns. That's part of the nature of doing business. I'm not really concerned about that. I have been, a little concerned with hearing people opening up these returns for nothing. So some people are saying that they've received them.
Well, I like this. I actually like this, that Michelle gets emails a lot from my store saying that I do free returns. I'm totally fine with that because, again, because of the nature of what I sell, I don't worry about people being reminded that I do returns or free returns because I've never had it at a volume that was bad for me. So if that entices somebody to be more willing to buy something, because a lot of times I think, particularly when it comes to like vintage men's streetwear, it's more about instilling trust in a potential buyer that I take returns or free returns. They don't feel
right.
Like
and I think menswear, we all know men don't shop necessarily the way that women do, and they definitely don't do returns the way women do. That's just nature. And again, like Sammy says, hi Sammy, by the way, that says in the chat, size it's a made up construct across the board. Anyone that sells vintage clothing like Sammy and myself, you'll know that, a vintage size 10 or a vintage size 12, people use the old adage, well, Marilyn Monroe was a size 12. You know what? A vintage size 12 is like a modern size 6. So the fact that she was a modern size 6 did not mean that she was a curvy current size 12.
Well, and with women's clothing, we were talking about like dresses or even shirts, because
jeans. Let's talk about jeans.
But even shirts, because I do most of the laundry here, or at least I fold it, because let's be real, I'm really good at folding laundry. This one over here, I mean, it could be malicious incompetence. I don't know.
It could be that I fold so poorly that you no longer want me to do the laundry, and
that is literally malicious incompetence. Anyway, I like things folded particularly. And let me tell you, folding a t-shirt, easy. Women's tops, I do not they're so weirdly shaped. And so I totally get that, like, there's no way, even if the measurements are the right size for like your chest or whatever, I think it's very common that you're going to get something and you get it in the mail, you put it on, you're like, oh, this looks weird on me.
Yeah, this looks terrible all the time, for sure. I mean, I've got a closet full of that stuff. So yeah, to comment on the curly hair, I mean, I do like Liz I'm just going to briefly talk. This is my natural curl. I like always blow dry it out. So you will rarely see me like this, but I did just recently got my hair done last week. So I've cut off quite a bit. So it's really healthy and it curls nicely right now. So I might keep it like this for a minute.
So just to circle back real quick, we're talking about, again, the title of Refighting an Uphill Battle. And of course, we'll get into this a lot more in the last part of our show. But, it can be really, really frustrating, especially when you're making major changes to your business and you're just not seeing the results you want to see. And especially when you're in the minutia of the day to day and it feels like this week is terrible, or I've had horrible sales the last few days. And so like Vikki was feeling pretty terrible. But then she's like, but you know what? My 90 days is a lot higher than it's been in a really long time. And I'm like, well, that probably matters more.
And that's even with the, if you haven't already updated your app on eBay, your eBay app 90-day total should now match your Seller Hub 90-day total. Yeah. Because before it didn't take into account for unpaid items or returns, and now it does. So it should match. Yeah. Like it always looked higher on your app than it does on your 90-day, because the 90-day...
But if you look at the bigger picture, like, I do think that matters more. It's kind of like when you're trying to lose weight. And, like, I'm more somebody, like right now, I'm trying to, like, slim down a little bit. Kind of hit I always hit, like, a certain limit where I'm like, oh, my body feels kind of uncomfortable. And so I'm working on it. And I like to, if I'm going to check it in a way, maybe like once a week, because to me that makes more sense. Whereas Vicky's like every day, and she'll be like, I gained 4 pounds in one day. And I'm like, okay, that's physically impossible.
Right. I know.
Like that's not how it
There's
works.
a reason why they tell you to weigh yourself once a week, right?
Yeah, you do want to do it. It's like the same time of day and like, further out, because you really cannot, when you're that close to it, you can't see the changes, the positive changes that are happening. And so you really have to pull back. And so we're going to get more into that in the end. But let me tell you, like, it's been a hard week. And sometimes it does feel like we're just working as hard as we can, and we're not seeing the results that we want to see.
Like
if you're on
if you're on my personal page, you did see my very, very profanity induced laced rant the other day. I don't generally, and I know a lot of my my reseller friends are on my personal page as well, but not all of you are. I don't generally rant like that. We're pretty open about our sales and the ups and downs and all that kind of stuff. We're very transparent with our numbers and our challenges. We've always been that way. But I don't really go on and, oh my God, I'm about to quit this business rant online.
Yeah, she does it privately.
Very often.
Probably about 5 times a year.
But I had a moment the other day, and it lasted a few days, and I'm still pissed off. I'm not going to lie. But I will continue to suck it up and just continue to diversify and do more live selling to unload some of my inventory and, continue to be on the other platforms, because eBay, while it is still the biggest monster in the room for what we sell, is not user friendly right now. They just aren't. And those of us that have been selling on eBay for a very long time do remember that this is what happens. It ebbs and flows depending on who is in the leadership positions within the company, what their focuses are on. And right now their focuses are not on making sellers happy, period. And I don't care who watches this. I know that there are people that will occasionally watch our channel, and you know what? If this gets me blackballed from doing all the things that I do
Nobody's
for
paying
eBay,
that much attention.
then so be it.
But like they just let
it's not
go.
like they pay me.
They just let go like almost a tenth of their workforce, like 1,000 people. Which whatever, things are happening. That stuff's going down. But the thing is, they have been reporting like record profits or like high profits. Now all of that's coming from the
Ad revenue.
Ad revenue.
The sales
but it's still the money's still there.
The sales profits and quarterly revenue, the quarterly sales reports have shown a downward trend in sales for 6 quarters.
I wonder why.
6 quarters on eBay, which is about when the shit hit the fan for all of us as sellers. So 6 quarters that we've been complaining is the 6 quarters that the revenue is down. However, their overall revenue is up, and it's only ad revenue. As we all know, the pay to play and the promoted listings and the advanced promoted listings and all of that kind of stuff. Yeah, Ryan asked my permission to cite my rant.
I saw the title. I didn't watch the video. I saw the title, and I'm like, I wonder if he like.
No, he called me yesterday.
I wonder if he'd seen Vicky's rant and it gave him an idea for a video.
He called me yesterday.
That's funny.
So here's the thing. It's just I do have relationships with people at eBay, and I find myself feeling very fortunate in that I have relationships with executives and people that are higher up within the eBay community because of the relationships I've built over the years. However, I have never once relied on those relationships or friendships or asked anyone for help with anything in eBay. I have asked for people in our group. People get these weird, when your accounts get shut down or somebody gets frozen and they need help. I've absolutely connected people, as has Katy and Teresa. That's how we try to help quietly. I even made a phone call this week. I made a phone call and went to try to pull in a favor and ask for help. Unbeknownst to me, 2 of the people that I contacted were already working on trying to help me behind the scenes because they had seen my post, which made me feel nice that they were working on it and didn't want to say anything in case they weren't able to do anything, which was nice. They saw it without me asking for help. They stepped in to try to help. Now, that being said, nothing has come of that help. And it's,
yeah, we'll see.
We'll see. I will absolutely update if it does. But nothing has come of that ask for help. And it's not due to them. It's due to their hands are tied as well. So if you've got people in divisions that are, wearing VP titles, unable to fix something that they see as clearly wrong as well, that's a flaw in the system. And I don't think you need me to say that. So we'll see what happens. Yeah. We'll see if anything ever comes of it. If it does, I will absolutely update it and let you guys all know that. But
I won't whine about my bad feedback.
It's been challenging. I wouldn't buy from me. If I looked at my feedback right now, and especially the way feedback shows up on an app where 60% of your buyers are buying from, the way feedback shows on an app, it does not show your replies to the feedback. It does not show, we're allowed to reply to feedback, but that only shows on a desktop.
One thing I would like to see happen, it would be nice if they changed the way that they did the math. So if you got a negative feedback or a number of negative feedbacks, it's percentage out of total sales as opposed to percentage out of total feedbacks.
It's percentage of total. Yes, that makes sense.
You know what I mean? Because it's like the people who didn't put feedback, clearly they're at least satisfied with their purchase. They didn't bother
Well, I get about 500 feedbacks a year, 500 to 600 feedbacks a year, and I sell 3,000 items. So that on eBay alone. So that tells you the percentage of people leaving feedback is low. So when someone leaves bad feedback, it looks inordinately.
Yeah.
It's inordinately more heavily weighted than it truly is. So, all right, enough about feedback.
So before we get into the regular part of our show, one thing I did want to say, last week we talked a little bit about Mark II, Not Your Dad's CPA, and he was doing a free live 2-day event on taxes. And now I know some of you, please say in the chat if you are somebody who has gone through the Reseller Tax Academy, because he is doing something different this year. First of all, you can, once January is over, you can no longer for the entire year sign up for the Tax Academy. It is only open for enrollment for the rest of this month, and then it is closed for the rest of the year.
It's usually open year round.
So it is limiting it done after January. And he has a sale going right now, and I have in the description of this video, if you go down there's also a link to get to the Tax Academy. He's doing a deal right now. He had kind of like it was going over this last week. And so what's today? Today's the 28th. So right now, if you do it today, if you sign up for the Tax Academy today, it does cost, I don't know how much it costs, but it's $80 off right now. Plus today is the last day you'll get a free ebook as well. And then tomorrow through the 31st, it's going to continue to be $80 off. But after the 31st, you cannot, in April, if you're freaking out and you want more information, you're not going to be able to sign up for it, even at full price. So just so you know, if you were thinking about it, if you were flirting with the idea of doing the Reseller Tax Academy, you need to make that decision now because you only have a few days left.
Yeah. So Kat says she's done it. Like, I have to say, that's the thing. Katie and I both use Mark to do our taxes. We have for several years. He
saved me, guys.
He's a phenomenal CPA and tax accountant that knows resellers and understands the reseller business because he is a reseller, and he is also a CPA. He's not just a bookkeeper. And these courses that he has come up with, and he teaches people how to take control of their finances and understand their businesses better. And in understanding your business, you understand your real money and your real profit, which is really important if you're doing this as more than just a hobby. And even if you're doing it as a hobby, you don't want to be losing money, right? So if you are interested in learning how to handle the minutia and the details of your business and trying to decide whether you should be an S corp or or you should be just a Schedule C sole proprietor. What are the differences between cash method and accrual method? All of those types of things in question. What can I write off? What can't I write off? All of those things are super important to understand. And if you don't have a good grasp of that, you're not going to understand your business well.
Yeah.
Yeah, easy to understand. It's not like trying to read a book on taxes or trying to figure out QuickBooks, which is, fairly complicated for most resellers. It's more, it's a higher level of accounting than most people need. So again, you guys know us. We've been doing this a long time. We do not endorse or talk about things that we have not used. And do not believe in. We don't do that.
No, he's our dude. We have family and friends who are not in the reseller business.
My best friends use them. My brother and sister-in-law use Mark. They are resellers, but they use Mark as well.
We have friends who aren't. So he's definitely a great CPA. So just last reminder, click on the link below and check it out. You only have, after today, you're gonna have 3 days left to sign up for that Reseller Tax Academy, and then it's done for the entire year of 2024. You will not be able to sign up for it. So if you were thinking about it already, go ahead and make sure you do that because you don't want to miss out on it. Okay, so to get into today's regular show, we break it up into 3 parts. We look at our real numbers for the last week, all of our gross sales across all of our platforms. We break down, the fees, the shipping, the cost of goods, which I think is the most important, just to give you an idea of kind of where you're at, take you along on this little journey of ours. And then the middle part of the show, we look at our sales highlights for the last week, the good, the mediocre, the educational, the entertaining. And then the last part, we will go back to talking about kind of the state of our businesses, how we did this last week, or with our goals we set last week, and then kind of what we're looking at doing in this next week and beyond. And of course, we invite you guys to join us in the comments and in the chat afterward, or in the chat and in the comments after, and let us know how you're doing and also what your goals are, so you can speak it out into the universe, have a little bit of accountability, and hopefully help you to kind of set some new habits. And
your glasses glare so much with the reflection from the
freaking bad. Okay.
I just wanted to say real quick, Kara Cooper's in the chat. Happy birthday, Kara. I know it's your birthday today. I don't know why you're spending it watching us on YouTube, but
I know.
We love you. Happy birthday. I hope you're having a good day. I hope at least you're having your champagne in a mug.
Champagne.
Okay.
All right, so let me go ahead and look at our numbers. Now, you guys remember last week, the previous week, I had done a 50% off sale, and it pretty drastically kicked up my eBay sales. I had a little drop in my average sale price and gross average sale price, and but overall, it had a really positive impact. Well, this last week, I dropped it back down to my regular 30% off sale. And of course, the opposite effect did happen. Although I don't feel like it happened to the same degree. So let me go ahead and share this. So, I mean, I don't remember I think I had like over 40 just eBay orders. I think my total was like 60. Didn't we both hit 60?
Yeah, you had 60 last
week.
week.
So 25 eBay orders. So 5 Etsy. Etsy's been kind of quiet for me lately. 6 Poshmark. Poshmark's actually doing pretty okay for me. And 7 between Grailed, Mercari, and Depop. Mercari's been a lot more active. I don't know what's going on there. Like, whenever I put my platforms in order, it goes eBay, Etsy. Now Poshmark is definitely third. And I would say Mercari is above Grailed and Depop as far as the money I'm bringing in. Nothing private. 43 total outgoing orders. So not as good as I've done the last couple of weeks, but I will say 43 total orders is still higher than what it's been in the past. In the past, I was literally having like 26 orders for the whole week and stuff like that. So 43, I'm still seeing that upward trend overall. eBay, I at least made it over $1,264.65. Etsy, very mediocre, $208.75. Poshmark beat Etsy, $280. And then Grailed, Mercari, and Depop together were almost $400 at $398.47. So my gross total sales, $2,151.87. I would love to get to where I'm hitting $3,000 every week. But over $2,000 is still an improvement overall for the past last year. $165.93 for my shipping. You can see the breakdown of the different fees, and then roughly around $100 my cost of goods for everything that sold this last week. So my total net sales, $1,605.36. As you can see, my gross average sale price did pop back up again at $50.04, and my net was $37.33. So it had dropped like a good $5 lower than that last week. So, it definitely pushed my sales up to do that 50% off sale. But the thing is that I'm going through and I'm listing things at lower prices now. I'm trying to get more volume in my sales. And I'm also going and reworking old listings and dropping the prices. So I'm not moving forward. I can't consistently do 50% off sales. So I have to trust the process and hope those sales are going to come in more as I lower my prices.
Okay.
All right, let's see what you got going on.
So I'm going to talk about, we talked about me trying this sale and what I couldn't quite do 50% off everything because I'm sorry, that just hurt my heart. But I did 40% off in my store, and I did it for a short time. It actually ends tomorrow. So if you've been eyeballing,
right?
Yeah, I did a 5-day 40% off sale. And what I did was I turned off promoted listings for that time because I also had promoted listings at 8%. I didn't turn that off. So I did turn that off. Now, I still sold quite a lot of things under promoted listings because it was probably stuff people already had saved and looked at. But it is what it is. In any case, I'm on day 4 of that, and I did see a very little uptick in sales.
Yeah.
Very little for me, even at 45% off. Now, I'm going to say part of it is because I literally received 3 negative feedbacks in 1 week this week. And as you all know, when you receive poor feedback on eBay, it does affect your placement in the search. It does suppress your listings. It's part of that algorithm. So I'm blaming that right now.
All right.
And I'm still mad. So Anyway, I did 53 orders
You
on
still did
eBay.
twice as much as me on eBay, so.
53 orders on eBay, 7 on Etsy. Etsy was okay this week, a little bit slow. Poshmark is still in the toilet and has been for 6 months. I'm not quite sure how to revive Poshmark personally. Mercari is my consistent onesies, twosies here and there. And so for a total of 67 outgoing orders, I didn't do any private sales. I didn't do any live sales this week. So my total gross on eBay is better than it was last week. It did increase by about $1,000 on eBay, but it went down in every other category. So I'm still looking at I think I did 3,000 last week, so I'm still around the same. So 2,400 and change on eBay, 520 on Etsy, 186 on Poshmark, and $48 on Mercari for a total of $31.72 for the week. My shipping, as you know, is always all over the place because I'm shipping blankets and quilts and hard goods and all kinds of stuff. So shipping $287, but my cost of goods, again, is always relatively low. As you know, most of my buys are bins buys. I did just do a huge buyout from a vintage clothing seller. I just wanted to mention Chrissy, Red Cake Recycle. I'm going to say it now. I wasn't talking about it before who it was. But those of you that may follow Chrissy, Red Cake Recycle, she lives in Portland. She's been a vintage clothing seller for almost as long as I have. She's getting out of the business entirely. So I bought all of her remaining inventory that she had taken down several months ago, and a lot of it that had never been listed. So I purchased over 400 pieces from her, and that is what I've been doing all week, was processing that stuff. None of it is listed yet, so this does not represent any of it. So total gross $31.72, my cost of goods $172, my total net $2,300 and change. Again, I do like to keep that. I would like to keep that at $2,500 to $3,000. $2,500 a week net is my goal always. So I got real close to that. 10,000 a month gross is, 10,000 a month net is a good goal to have, right? So my average sale price, I do try to keep between 50 and 60 as we're talking about. I did do this big sale. So $47, my average sale prices did dip a little bit. So overall, did the sale help? It did help me move some inventory. I will say I sold a whole hell of a lot of $15, $20, $21 items, which is a pain in the ass, but at least it's helping to clear out lower priced stuff that I probably shouldn't have purchased in the first place, or I've had for quite a while. So I'm happy to clear up that space, because this 400 to 600 new items that I've acquired in the last 3 weeks, I have nowhere to freaking put it. So I have to keep moving it, you know?
Well, and also, real quick, what happened this week that's new? That's going to help you with all this inventory.
Oh, my new lister started. My new lister started this week. Crystal, thank you, my friend.
And you finally listened to Crystal when she said she'd help train your new person?
Yes. So my new person started... So Crystal and I went over to train her together a little bit on Monday of this week. She's a friend of mine, acquaintance of mine from around town that is not a reseller. So she doesn't have any bad habits. But, we'll see how it goes. She was just looking for a consistent side gig, which I can provide. She's super, super attentive to detail in general in her life. So this is coming through quite a bit with her level of questions.
Based on what I'm just hearing off to the side, her feedback and hearing from Crystal, I can already tell, even without even being invested in it, that she's way above and beyond. I think in 2-3 weeks, she's going to be exactly where you need her to be.
I don't disagree. I think she's going to do really well. It's just a matter of whether she's going to like doing it.
Yeah.
But I think she'll do great. I'm hopeful and optimistic, where previously I was not with the other 2 people I've had in the last 8 months. I was always hopeful, but was not optimistic. So we'll see how it goes. I'm kind of excited. But every time I have trained a new person, here's the thing, there's an investment in that training process. I have to buy materials and supplies depending on the person. I have to buy them the photo room subscription for $90. I bought a new ring light for myself so I could give her my old ring lights. I had to buy her a new mannequin because the new mannequin I'd purchased for the previous person came back broken. You have to invest in that person. And then what I do is, I pay her for the training time. I paid Crystal to come help me train her. I have to pay her a little bit extra for the first, 2 or 3 weeks I have to pay her extra because I know that there's a learning curve,
Yeah.
and I don't want her to be like, well, this isn't worth the friggin' money.
Right.
You know, the learning curve means that they're slower at first, and I pay per piece. So, you know, there's an every time I get a new employee, it's a minimum $1,000 investment to get them ramped up.
But yeah, I mean, that's any business. Employee turnover is very expensive. All right, so let's go ahead and get into our sales highlights.
Oh, Michelle, sequence. Yes, that was an oft repeated thing, and waist measurement was WASTE. So,
all right, so let's go ahead and start with this one. What the heck is happening here?
I'm only showing him because I grabbed him at the bins.
How cute he is.
I grabbed it at the bins, and I think I showed it in a haul, and I probably paid like 75 cents for this little toy.
Spot bought.
And it sold on my normal sale this week. But, I mean, he probably weighs like 5 ounces. It cost me 75 cents and sold within a week or two for $44.
Look at he's so cute.
He is cute.
Look at his little spot.
So
on
his
eye.
ears flop up and down, and he wiggles his tail, and he barks, and he kind of like walks around in a circle.
Yeah.
It is cute.
He's very cute. All right, my first one, not a big seller, but guys, I mean, come on. I got to keep that
Katy, bringing back Echo.
I got to keep that Echo Unlimited coming in. This was kind of a smaller hoodie. Vicky had actually tossed this my way when we were at the bins. It cost me a total of like maybe probably like $3. And so I sold this puppy for $35. But man, I do love selling stuff that I barely paid any money for on the old eBay. It does make me happy. But I did I think I sent this might have been during my sale, 50% off. So I only got 35 for it, but whatever. I made some money.
It does say 50% off. So.
I know. I just saw that. And you know what? Over the years, I have gotten so much faster and so much better with my photography, the processing times and photography times, all that stuff. So it really does not take me a whole lot. I've kind of calculated out. I think I maybe per item, all the way up through listing it, spend maybe 10 minutes per item. So even on these lower items, if I only paid a couple bucks, 35 is still good. Hey, I recognize these shoes.
I have had these forever. So these actually came when Katy got out of the shoe business.
I bought these in Oregon, guys.
So when Katy got rid of a bunch of her shoes that she didn't feel like selling anymore, I took about 5 or 6 pairs. The rest she sold to Dynasty, I think, or gave to Dynasty.
I don't remember.
This was a few years ago. So I have legit had these in my inventory for about 3 years, and they were in Katy's inventory for a minimum of 3 years before
They're cool
that.
shoes, man.
They're cool shoes, but again, look at my photos. You can see like I didn't use the background remover. They're a little faded.
No, they're hireable.
And so they finally sold. They sold 45% off. Now here's my complaint. So I didn't pay anything for them. So that was all profit. But here's my complaint. Why is it that even when your items are under $100, if there are certain brand names, they are still sent to the eBay authenticity department? I don't sell shoes. I'm not a sneakerhead. So I don't sell them expecting they're going to go to the authentication department because I'm not selling anything in that price range and I don't care.
Yeah, they changed how they do it now.
The fact that this sold for $52 and then I had to make a special trip to take it to FedEx with their stupid label that never prints properly,
yeah,
makes me really mad, because if I wanted it to go through authentication, I would have priced it in that amount or tried to bother that. Now, and not only that, but it's showing expected delivery date to the buyer of it being like Tuesday or Wednesday.
No. That's not
and it's going to go to authentication first. So they're setting me up for crap.
Yeah.
So anyway, shut up. So anyway, it really irritated me that they went to authentication, because I'm like, what the hell?
But yeah, these were purchased in like 2016, 2017.
Well, they're from 2017.
Oh, 2017.
So you had to have purchased them in 2017. But anyway, I'm just irritated. Now, did I put new just because I had extra? Yeah, I don't necessarily put new in the title, but in that case, I just had extra room.
Yeah.
Sometimes I put it in the front.
Yep. All right. Next up for me, now this isn't anything too crazy or exciting, but it's another thing I picked up at the bins. It was not vintage. It was, maybe I paid a couple bucks for it. This is that brand Uniqlo, which is like a super, it's not, I don't think it's as popular anymore, but it's kind of like it's this trendy, kind of like hip streetwear kind of brand, but very affordable.
I didn't even know about that brand, so I would not have known.
Yeah, so there's like a lot of guys, like if you follow any like the men's fashion subreddit, there are a lot of items that guys will buy from Uniqlo because it's really affordable, but they do have some like cool styles.
I think anything Keith Haring is worth picking up.
Yeah, but I mean, but a lot of it's pretty mass produced these days, and so it doesn't necessarily have a ton of value. I don't know what's happening to this guy right now, but I'm concerned. But anyway, I did sell it for $50, and I paid. I mean, it's pretty light, pretty small sweatshirt, so I paid maybe $2-3 for it. But
Heather says that Uniqlo is in the malls.
Yeah,
I wouldn't know that because I have not been in a mall in forever.
Yeah, but it's kind of like up there with like Zara and like
overpriced.
Actually, it's better. Probably it's probably has held in higher regard than Zara amongst like fashionable young men.
Zara is a great fast fashion clothing brand. They have some really great fashionable stuff. It's super overpriced for what it is, but you know, whatever.
Yeah. All right. Next up for you.
This one is one that is showing it sold in my 45% off sale, but it didn't.
Yeah.
So the price is wrong. I actually sold it for $75. I did take an offer and sold it for $75. Now, that being said, this was one that I picked up in Colorado. I don't think it was the last trip. I think it was the trip before that I got this in Colorado. So 49 cents a pound. I probably paid at most $2 to $3 for it, plus whatever percentage it costs for me to ship it. So I'm calling it a $5 into $75 on this one.
Yep. All right. Next up for me is this cool Miller Time racing shirt. Now I got this from our friend Jen Goodell, who I had bought a huge grip of stuff from her at the Remix, and then I did another big buy with her like a couple months ago, and then I actually just did a video call with her today, and I'm buying another like 130 pieces from her. And so I really love this. It felt like it was almost dead stock, but then it did have like all these little spots on it. You can see all the
probably like mold from storage.
Yeah, even though I washed it and everything, I couldn't get it out. But so I actually still feel pretty good about the price I got. It wasn't that price. I actually got $59. Somebody offered me $59, and I love it when you get those offers where you're like, heck yes, you cannot press accept.
Diane says I have that bedspread in my motorhome. I love it, Diane. I want to see a picture.
That's awesome. Anyway, I paid $5 for it and sold it for $59. So I'm pretty happy about that because it is freaking cool, man.
That is really cool. This one I've had for quite a bit. This absolutely was a purchase in Colorado. I purchased this at the ARC store in Colorado, and I've probably had this for about a year. It was just waiting for the right buyer. This might have even been my first Colorado purchase, so I've had this for more than a year. But anyway, I loved this. If this had been bigger, I totally would have worn it, but it's tiny, and it had a tiny, even though it was stretch top, you had to be like a tiny skinny person to wear it. It did sell 45% off for $68, which was still a decent price because I'm sure I paid about $3 or $4 for it. However, had it been a little larger, it would have sold for more. It's super cute. And the colors, honestly, these pictures don't even capture how vibrant.
That like neon color can be really difficult to get
it's super, it's even more vibrant in person, which is sometimes really hard to capture in photos.
Yeah. All right, next up for me, do you guys remember this jacket? This is one I got at the bins, and
where's your picture on the second one?
Yeah, I don't know what happened to it.
What the freak?
Stinking eBay. Anyway, it just would have been a bigger picture of the front. So, anyway, I had got this. This was at the bins, and I remember there was a garbage bag, and it's always exciting when you find a garbage bag in the bins because you rip that open, you never know what's going to be in there. It might be full of Ed Hardy all over print T-shirts like that one stinking kid found. But anyway, I opened it up, and there was a few things in there, and then this jacket, so it was kind of like my
This was the casino that I always used to hang out and gamble at when I lived in Rhode Island. This was 45 minutes from where I used to live, and they opened in the 90s, which this may have, depending on how old this jacket is, this jacket could be from when the grand opening was, which was like 91 or something like that. But I used to go there all the time. That was my casino, my guilty pleasure, once every couple of months.
But I've had it up for at least a few months, if not more, and so I sent an offer out. I actually sold it for $65, not the price that you see there. So sold it for 65. So I was happy about that.
That was where I went on my 21st birthday as I turned 21. Decided to go to the casino and leave the house completely stoned at 11 o'clock at night. It was fun. Good times. Anyway, this I picked up at the bins. This was a bins buy. This was absolutely Colorado as well. I probably paid $1 for it. Vintage 70s bikini that was not all stretched out or worn out, tied sides. You know, it's hard to photograph a bikini. You can't really get it to stick on a mannequin. Depends on the kind of mannequin you have, but it sold for the price you see there, for $69 and change. I paid $1 for it.
Nice. I like the colors on it.
Yeah, it was super cool.
All right, next up for me is this Pink Floyd t-shirt. Now this is from my first trip to Colorado, when we went after the remix last year, or I guess the year before, so in 2022. And this is I got this from my private buy from Alex, the first private buy I ever did with him. Now I kind of averaged out everything that I bought over the whole trip, and at the time had averaged out to, I think, $10 an item at the time. I can't remember now, or $8. Anyway, whatever. I did not sell it for the price you see there. I've had it for a really long time, so I was setting very aggressive offers. This is not when I had a chance to relist yet and lower the price overall. But I sent an offer for $125 out, and they accepted, and so I was very excited because I'm like, whatever. It's profit. I've had it now for almost a year and a half. It is time to move on and get some freaking money out of that and go on to the next thing. Mm-hmm. But this thing you can see,
and we all know, like the t-shirt, you know, the t-shirt trend is not that it's on a downward, but it's definitely not commanding the prices it was.
And those prices were inflated. Those prices were inflated. They were not like a natural growth in the popularity. It's like things went crazy.
Pandemic inflated everything.
Everybody being at home.
Extra money.
A lot of like young people, especially who maybe aren't the most responsible, all of a sudden getting like these checks, and you know, there was a lot of people bored and wanting to flex all their stuff. So.
Allison says, "What's a mall? What's up, Allison?"
Anyway, next up for you.
Okay, so this is just one of those. This is a really big stuffed animal. I still haven't found the ones that sell for the $300-400, but I just wanted to show. I had an awful lot of interest in this guy, and he finally sold on my sale. He sold for $71, but he wasn't listed very long. And I got this at the bins, and I probably paid $4 or $5, even though he's big, he's not heavy. I think he has floppy. Hip dysplasia. He may have some hip dysplasia. But those realistics, especially, there are certain types of dogs and cats and plush ones that sell in the hundreds. This is not one of them, but he did sell pretty well and sold fairly fast. I mean, $70 from like $4 or $5. This is why I sell a variety of things, because if, you know...
But I think, yeah, it's a pretty good bet that if you ever see like a plush that kind of looks like a somewhat realistic version of a dog, they might be worth some money. Because there are like a few different brands, I think, that do it.
There are several.
And they're very popular. All right, next up for me. Now, this is not a big sale, guys. This is only $25.
But we talked about this shirt.
This is a different one.
Oh,
This is why I want to show it. This is why I want to show it. Because listen... This is like not anything special. These shirts are out there, and I think it's just because it's the polygamy thing, and it's kind of funny. This is the third time I've sold one of these polygamy beer t-shirts, and every time it's on Etsy, and I swear to God, it never lasts more than a week in my store. And it's not that I'm pricing it too low.
So there's a lot of people that are into polygamy that shop on Etsy is what I can derive from that.
I think so. I don't think I have
small, concentrated test market.
I don't think I have a price too low. I think the price I have on it is about what it's worth. Maybe I could have gone up to like $30. But I think I've got it right in the sweet spot where it's a silly enough shirt and it's cheap enough.
Take some home to the wives. That one looks super faded, or is it supposed to be that color?
It is super faded.
Okay.
It's super faded. And I said that it was super faded in my thing, so... Anyway, I think it's pretty awesome. So I'm just saying, like, this is one of those things where I don't really think it has overall a whole great amount of value, but I sell it every time. Ridiculous. Yeah, it's a Utah brewery. All right. Ooh.
All right. So I got these at the bins when Danica was with us.
I was going to say, Danica's had these on before.
Danica found these when she was here over the summer.
She modeled them for us.
She modeled them for us. So I got these at the bins, probably paid $3 or $4 for them. This is like a spandex lace up jumpsuit that someone crafted and put these felt bell bottoms onto, the felt flames on the feet. All I know is this is like total 90s club wear, right? This is like so goth club wear, club kid.
I love it.
I am actually surprised they didn't sell faster than they did. But the felt flames were put on after the fact. I think the jumpsuit came as it did. It came without them. In any case, it's fun. It's fun. Sold for that price.
Ridiculous.
$82. Is polygamy cord the rage? It could be, Kara.
I think so.
It could be.
I think so. All right, next up, I got this shirt and it made me think of home. Because it's a tractor pull t-shirt, and I'm from a very small town, the town of Sublimity, Oregon, and we have the Sublimity Harvest Fest, and one of the main attractions of the Sublimity Harvest Fest is the tractor pull, and it used to be just like in the park 2 blocks away from our house, so like when the Harvest Fest was going on, it always happens like the weekend after Labor Day, I swear, it would feel like it was the middle of the night, because you're a kid, you go to bed at like 9 o'clock, or 8 o'clock, and you just hear that of the tractor pull going and people cheering. Anyway,
you weren't allowed to go watch?
Well, it was too late when it was at the park. Then, like a few years later,
you had nothing going for you in that town. You couldn't go to the yearly tractor pull.
We went to the tractor pull was not the only part of the whole event. It was a whole harvest festival. And my dad would even have a booth and make apple cider from the Zilverberg apple presses, okay? So we got to hang out there. It's just the tractor pull happened like at night and everybody was getting wasted.
I mean, and I feel like I came from a small redneck town.
I know.
Damn.
And then it got bigger. They had to build like a whole new facility and grounds for it. It was like a mile down the road.
That's not a thing. That's not a thing in Rhode Island.
The tractor pull.
I have been to the Woodstock Fair, but that's actually a bit of a hike. Yeah. I have been to some of those.
And my favorite part was they also would have, when it moved to the bigger place, they would have like these food trucks and stuff there, and they had this amazing Chinese food truck. And so my mom would send us, like once we got a little older and we could drive and stuff, she'd send us with money to the Harvest Festival just to go get the Chinese food and bring it home, because we didn't have like a Chinese restaurant that was any good. Anyway. Good old tractor pull days, guys. Oh, Jay says she's heard of Sublimity. Yeah, Malala's not far from there at all. So anyway, it just gave me a little nostalgia, a little tractor pull action going on here.
I can honestly say I've never seen a tractor pull in
They pull.
I understand the concept. I'm just saying I've never been to one.
We had our 10-year high school reunion at the Harvest Festival, and there was a monster truck rally going on at it this time.
Oh dear God!
Yeah, so that's how we like to do things. Okay.
All right.
Anyway, $44.09. I paid like $5 for it. So there you go.
These were Bins boots. This is just a brand to keep an eye out for. So Danner is always a good brand. Vintage Danner is also good. These were not vintage. They just happen to be regular work boots. Gore-Tex is always good. Be careful using that in your title unless it's actually something that is part of the title or the brand. Don't assume, because it is a copyright brand that is zeroed frequently on eBay, so be careful. But in any case, I paid maybe $6 or so at the Bins, between $5 and $6, because they are heavy. They're probably 3 to 4 pounds. And they sold for $87 plus shipping.
All right. Okay, I got this Wrangler shirt. I feel like I do pretty well on Wrangler, and I did get this also from Jen. The last batch of stuff I got from her, I got like 140 pieces or so. I got a bunch of Western shirts. You remember last week I sold that really funky short sleeve Western shirt. Mm-hmm. And this is another item that came from that batch. This was like one of those really heavy. It's not quite a shacket, but it was like a really thick flannel, heavy material. Mm-hmm. And
it's definitely a bias cut. So you had like that thicker.
Mm-hmm. And so, but we got $62.99 for that. So,
Rita is correct. In Rhode Island, we went to the Demolition Derby at Seekonk Speedway, which was in Massachusetts, Seekonk, Mass. That is a thing. I never went, I've got to say. That's just too rednecky even for me. Whatever. But I never went to anything, but it is a thing. It still is a thing.
The other big thing at the Harvest Fest, guys, and basically any kind of fair in Oregon, is they do funnel cakes, but we also have elephant ears. Elephant ears are a big thing, and I find that in a lot of other locations, other states, they'll have funnel cakes, but they won't have the elephant ears, and I think elephant ears are far superior to funnel cakes, in my opinion, even though they're probably made of like very similar.
It's a doughboy. An elephant ear and a doughboy is the same
But
thing. East Coast, we call them a doughboys. It's the same thing.
Yeah, it's just
way
like,
better.
Just delicious, so delicious. And I remember like the last time I went to the Harvest Fest, the guy that was like working the elephant ear booth was like this really big guy in like this super dirty, stained, disgusting like white tank top, and he looked so gross. And he was just, and I'm like,
still wanted
and
him.
I'm like, I don't care because it's going in that frying oil. It's gonna have all that cinnamon and sugar on it. I don't even care. I want to eat. He knows what he's doing. He's slaving away making those elephant. And it was a giant elephant ear, so good. Funnel cakes, not good. I don't like them. They don't have the right kind of density or coverage as far as like the oil, the frying surface area. I don't know.
All right. So question, here's my reason. Do you ever pick up Plains Western shirts? Yeah, I do.
I do for sure.
I definitely do.
It's not as good of a brand, as popular as a brand as Wrangler, but it's still depending on like the pattern and stuff.
I pick up almost anything Western. Personally. Okay.
Heather said she found a new old stock Wrangler jean jacket for $50, sold immediately. Someone in Japan for $149. Yeah, I mean, there's some. That's the thing. It's like some of the like Wrangler or Levi's vintage stuff. Like I'm like literally just now getting to where I'm starting to be able to like date vintage jeans based on the tags, and I still need a little bit of help. I'm in like a subreddit for vintage Levi's, so I can kind of try to learn more. But Japanese buyers especially, they love their denim. They know their denim. So it's very possible. I mean, who knows? I don't know.
You might have sold it a little too low just because it sold that quickly. But you know what? As long as you're happy with the profit, here's the thing. Wrangler is very hit or miss. The fact that you know, I would not price a Wrangler jean jacket much more than $50. So even if it was dead stock, Wrangler's just not a brand that sells as well. If it were vintage Levi's, sure, I'd price it higher. But Lee or Wrangler, you probably got a good price. You just happened to get the right buyer at the right time. You might have been able to get a little bit more, but you didn't drastically underprice it.
Or it was worth $10,000. We don't know.
It was not.
I'm kidding. I'm sorry. You didn't lose out. Okay, what's this?
Another Colorado buy. I purchased this in our last trip when we were in Colorado, the end of October last year.
Amazing photos.
I know. See, you can tell when I take the photos; they're just garbage.
It's like dark. It's like, is that stained? Is it wet? I don't know.
It's my camera. Anyway, so this actually was one that I had picked up at the bins in Colorado. Again, 49 cents a pound. So I probably paid $3 or $4 for this. It sold for the price you see there, $110. This had rips. It didn't have stains, but it did have rips on the seams. It was old. It was a satin comforter. I think had it been in better condition, I definitely would have sold it faster and for more. However, I know that whoever is purchasing it is probably going to do those repairs that I was not going to do. I did launder it. I did actually wash this, even though it had the tears, because it had the bins grunge. Yeah. So it did sell. And it sold for, $110. So
nice. All right. Next up, I sold this hoodie that I picked up at the bins. Now, when I grabbed this, I know there had been was it a sweatshirt? No, it was a cardigan. It was a cardigan sweater that I had grabbed at the bins. And it was one of those things where the second it left my fingertips and I handed it over to Vicky, I thought, why did I just give that to her? I should have kept it for myself. That doesn't happen too often, but there's been a handful of times where, like, the second I gave it to her, I was like, that was dumb. I should just kept it for myself. But anyway, so when I grabbed this hoodie, I don't remember how much she sold that for, but when I saw this hoodie, I'm like, oh, awesome.
It's like $80 or something.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, awesome. Like, this should sell well. And it was in really good condition. And so I grabbed it. It did end up being a women's because it was one. I will say, unfortunately, when I went to look it up, I realized there were a lot of these out there, and like a lot of them available. They were all women's, even though the size of it was definitely. It could have been like a dude could wear it too. But
well, I mean, it's women's because it has the flowers. Whatever. That's a little too feminine for most men.
True. Anyway, so I listed it as it is, but the pricing, I was like, I don't think I'd be lucky if I get $50. But apparently Macari decided to
I'm
do
pretty
me a
sure
fave.
that's where I sold mine, was Macari too.
Yeah, sold it for $67. So I was actually really happy. And I did not have this listed for all that long, maybe a couple of months. So it's kind of one of those things where I'm like, I'm not going to get as much as I thought. But at the same time, I got it at the bins. So I paid maybe $3-4 for it based on weight. So still was not a bad buy, even if I only could sell it for $35. But I got 67, so I was happy about that.
We're very chatty today.
Shut your mouth. Anyway.
Okay, so this is what I'm going to say about this dress. First of all, I love this dress. I've had it for well over a year. It is by far my highest watched item I have probably had in my store in like the last 5 years at least.
What's everybody's
And I
problem?
ended it and resold it. I had both times that I ended it and relisted it at the height of it, I had well over 150 watchers on it both times.
Jeez.
I sent out offers all the flippin' time. I didn't get offers on it, but I sent out offers all the time. Now, it finally flippin' sold for the price you see there, $126. This was also a bins buy, but I've had it for over a year. I've sent out offers as low as $80 or $85, and my price on it was $229.95 originally. So whatever. Good Anna Sui, or Anna Sui, I don't even know how to say the name. Vintage items do sell for good money. So it wasn't that I had it priced incorrectly. I absolutely do not. I think it's just because it's tiny. It's a size 2. But
Yeah.
it was stunning. I don't know why it took so long to sell, but I'm so glad it finally flippin' sold.
Yep. All right. Next up for me, Macari. It's like some of my best sales happened on Macari this week. What's going on, Macari? Are you coming home to me? What's happening? Anyway, I sold this. This is a blazer that I got at the bins. It wasn't all that heavy. Maybe it cost me like $4. But it's this really cool Alpha Phi Omega blazer, fraternity blazer. It's got the really cool crest on it and everything. And it's just, for the right person, they're going to be willing to pay the money to have this. You can't see any of the pictures really because it's got that stupid sold thing right in front of it. But I sold it for $100, and the person like messaged me and they were like, "Would you take 100?" It's like, for one thing, it does drive me a little crazy. I know actually there's some limits to how low you can offer on Recari based on the
part of
price.
it.
So it's probably why it doesn't bother me as much when it happens on Recari. But they sent me a message and said, "Would you be willing to take 100?" And I said, "Absolutely."
And you replied back with the offer, and then
And
they accepted.
I just lowered the price. I just went ahead and lowered the price, and I said, "Okay, it's been lowered." And they bought it right away, and they were super excited about it. They asked like, what the material was like. They said they wanted it either way, and I'm like, I think it's like a wool blend or wool. And so they bought it $100. I was very happy because this is definitely something that like most, like especially the t-shirt bros, would just pass on by and not bother.
It's a
not
very,
think it's got any
very
value.
specific. It's very specific for sure.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Next up.
So I've had this for quite a bit. This is one that had some discoloration on it, and I probably could have made it shinier and nicer, but meh, I wasn't really into it. So I did not bother to do anything with it, and I sold it just as it is. It does work. It was working. It is true 1930s, but look at the mechanism inside. It's a little wonky looking, but it has the cord. There's nothing wrong. It wasn't frayed in any way, and it did heat up and get hot. For the most part, when people purchase these items, they're purchasing them for display, or they're purchasing them to have a certain aesthetic in their home. Or collectibles. So I'm not really concerned with, does this meet whatever safety requirements crap. But it sold for $52 plus shipping. And I do test them if the cord is not frayed and with a grounded plug, and I did test it. So I don't remember what I paid for this, but I think I might have purchased this from Laura on her Whatnot quite a while ago.
Yeah, Liz says her Macari's picked up the last couple of weeks too. Not getting rich there, but there is a sparkle. I would say that. Somebody's sprinkling a little magic on that.
Yeah, it sure could be a fire hazard, but no, not my problem. I'm not selling things with a warranty. I just list it and sell it as is. If the cord were frayed, I would not have tested it, and I would have sold it as untested and said, hey, the cord is frayed. But I sell a lot of vintage items, and anything can be a fire hazard, really.
Yeah. All right, next up for me, not that this is anything exciting, but I've had this for quite a while. I did get it at the bins. I don't pick up as much of this kind of polo stuff. It doesn't sell as well as it did once upon a time. But picking stuff up at the bins, I mean, it's freaking cheap. So But it was my single Depop sale this last week. It didn't sell for that. It sold for $60. But when they sent the offer, which by the way, this last week, this is the thing that drives me crazy about Depop. I mean, I am grateful that when somebody sends an offer and I accept it, it doesn't get like tied up because of non-payment or anything like that. It still stays for sale, so it's fine. But this last week, for some reason, I got like 6 or 7 really good offers on things where it's like every single time I was like, yes, I'll sell it to you for that much. And then nothing.
Crickets.
This was the only thing that I accepted the offer and they actually followed through and bought it. But I was like, it was really annoying because I'm like, oh, awesome, I'm selling that for 50. Oh, cool, I'm selling that for 55. Nope.
Well, I have just started recently putting my stuff back on Poshmark due to a lot of people saying it's been picking up again. Michelle in our chat being one of them, Crystal being the other person, saying that's been picking up. I had gotten off of Depop about 2 years ago because, again, I sell my items for higher prices. Everybody wanted the $25 things, and I was like, that's not my market. I wasn't selling enough to make the cross posting worth it. But now that they've increased the number of photos allowed, and they also allow you to promote your listings, which I don't mind doing because I'll put them over there at the higher price. So
Sorry, finish.
So I have just started cross posting to Depop, and I only have 10 things up there right now because it's just literally just started recrossing, and I already got an offer on one item. Of course I didn't sell it, but same thing. I was like, oh my goodness, I didn't even know my stuff had started to get cross posted there. And I had an offer, and it was a good offer. And I was like, they're not going to pay. And of course they didn't pay.
Yep.
But that was my only activity.
What I was going to say, yes, it was my only thing I sold on Depop this week, but also Crystal, this was a boosted listing. So I actually sold my first boosted listing because that's what it's called there. You boost your item. And if it sells that way, you have to pay an extra 8%, but you know what? I got this at the bins. It's pretty light. I didn't even pay $2 for it. With the boost and their regular fees, I still made more than $40 on this item. So I was super, super happy. So I'm glad that I went ahead and boosted every single thing in my store because I will take that money where I can get it. I'm already paying 20% on Depop and probably eBay too. So
is Depop 20?
Not Depop, sorry, on Poshmark.
Oh, I was going to say,
Depop's I think it's like 13.
10 or 12.
Once you do payment processing, all that stuff, it ends up being 13.
Yeah, it's the same as Mercari or theoretically eBay.
Yeah. So 21, and they also changed it to where I'm charging, like originally I wasn't charging for shipping, and then they changed it to where, so now I am charging for shipping, so whatever, it's fine. I don't care.
Okay, so I've had this sold for the price you see there, $127 and change.
This is from the dark days.
I have had this for a long time. I've had this since before I started using Photo Room. It has issues on it. You can see it has some staining. I bought this at an estate sale. So I actually remember buying this, which usually I'm not going to remember something for many years ago, but I probably had this for like a good 3 years. And I bought this at an estate sale for like under $5, but there's some staining on it, as you can see. I did not try to wash it because I did not want it to bleed, the red to bleed. And it would have on something this old probably. But this was also before I was using color catchers and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, that tag there is a specific tag that is late 70s into the very, very early 80s. I think I listed it as 70s. If you scroll down a little bit, it's an old Walt Disney tag. Just for future reference, Walt Disney Productions went away in 1987, so it's 100% before 1987. But also, if you look at Disney character fashions, it's late 70s into early 80s as far as that particular Disney tag. And made in Korea is almost always an indicator of the 80s. Made in Hong Kong, made in Korea. So just so you know a little bit more about the tag itself. Anyway, I don't know why it didn't sell. I had it listed for quite a while. Generally speaking, really good vintage Disney stuff goes quick, but who knows? Who knows? Whatever. I'm very happy. It sold for $127 plus shipping because this went international. I'm pretty sure it went to Australia.
Nice. All right, real quick, last one. I wanted to post this because this is something I also got from Jen Goodell, but speaking of me saying I hardly ever get returns, I sold this within a week of listing it on eBay, and the buyer got it, and then they opened a return saying it was defective and it had a spot on it and blah, blah. And I was like, oh, man. When I got it back, I'm like, it does have a spot on it. And so I went and I took a close-up picture of it to add to the listing, and I went to do it, and I'm like, I already had it in there. I didn't realize, like, I had disclosed it. I did have a picture of it close up. Well, it's not Sometimes it lets you look at the picture, sometimes it doesn't. Anyway, it was just like a little black speck right here on the shoulder, and it was disclosed in the listing, and it showed it right on it. And so I was really irritated. And so I went ahead and relisted it, and again, it sold in like 2 days. So seriously, guys, this tractor stuff.
Thanks, my tractor.
This tractor stuff, as you can see, is flying off the shelves. Okay, so if you got any tractors
flying off the
flying
shelves.
tractors. Well, anything, tractor poles, tractors, you name it, it's selling. But yeah, I was super irritated that I had that returned because, again, I had disclosed it, you jerk. I'm sorry you don't bother looking at any pictures.
I'm sorry you don't know how to read.
Yeah.
Or look at photos or read a description ever.
Well, and that's the problem and that's why I do have my single negative.
Jen says Wisconsin core.
Yeah. My single negative feedback I have is somebody who was upset because I sold a super distressed sweatshirt. But the problem is I figured out they bought it on mobile, and if you buy on the mobile app and you don't look at all the pictures, you actually have to like scroll down and expand a section to even get to the condition description, which on your desktop, it's right there next to the listing. So if they just bought it and they didn't...
It's the same thing on Etsy.
So they got it in the mail, and they probably were like, even though it was their own stupidity, they were probably like, what in the hell? What is this? Because it was really distressed. But they didn't see the description. They didn't see.
It happens all the time. Nobody reads. They don't read shit. It is what it is. Buyers are terrible.
They don't read shit.
Buyers are terrible. I love when I get is this used? I didn't know this was used. You're on Etsy and it's vintage. What the fuck did you think? I have multiples of something that's 40 years old in every color and size, and people are dumb.
And to flip it, with free returns, again, I'm going to keep going back to with men's stuff. I can't even imagine I get 10 returns in a whole year. So I really don't have a problem.
Yeah, I get about 10 a week. I get about 10 a month.
And that's why I say it really depends on what you sell, because for me, it is not an issue at all.
I get at least 10 a month. So that's women's is an entirely different animal.
Of course.
So I wanted to answer Caitlin's questions, a couple of questions there. So what platform do you think has the best fees? They're pretty much all the same right now. They're close. eBay and Poshmark have the highest fees. eBay is a minimum of 15% or so, plus if you're using promoted listings, it's going to be even higher than that. Yeah. Poshmark is a flat 20%.
And Poshmark, you get your label, and the likelihood of ever dealing with a return is so low.
So slim.
It's so slim.
I think I've sold, I think, a couple thousand things on Poshmark now at this point, and I've had 2 returns, and it was early on.
Yeah. I would say Etsy probably has on its base level fees, it's probably the lowest, because I think it's still 8 something.
It's still 8.5% plus 2.9% transaction fee plus the 30%. So
plus the 30%.
The 30 cents. Sorry, 30 cents per transaction.
But let me finish what I was saying. But if you get one from offsite ads, then you can add an additional 12 to 15%. But that's only when you get those. So
it's very rare.
So overall, I would actually say Etsy is probably the lowest when it comes to fees.
Mm-hmm. Overall, Etsy's probably the lowest, but the reality is just bank on about 20% total in fees for almost any platform. There's no platform that's doing it for like less than 15 overall.
And then favorite platform to sell on? What's your favorite?
It's still Etsy. Etsy's my favorite platform. I will say the new thing with Etsy, if you're a good established seller and you have good seller ratings as a seller on Etsy, the seller protection / buyer protection on there is better than any other platform. I had a customer that tried to return something. I don't offer returns on Etsy. That's my other thing, because they allow you to actually run your business the way you choose to. It's your business. Yeah. You're just using their platform. They don't interfere, and I appreciate that.
I allow returns. I don't give them hardly ever.
But I don't. Same reason. I sell women's clothing. I'm not having you're not trying it on and sending it back, or wearing it for a costume or an event and sending it back. Anyway, I had someone try to open up a return on something that I'd sold for over $300 around Christmas time, and on Etsy, and they went back and forth with me for like 2 or 3 weeks, and they were saying that the condition was not as described. Well, it was exactly as I had described it and photographed it, and I'm sorry that you did not enlarge the photos. I'm sorry that you did not read the description, but it is exactly as I said it was, and I'm not accepting the return. So they tried to escalate it with Etsy. I was like, I was willing to take a bad feedback on that too, by the way, because it was over $300 and I'm not eating it. It's your problem. Etsy had my back. So Etsy immediately, the seller escalated, the buyer escalated the return on Etsy. That's when Etsy will step in and they'll either tell you they'll force a return, or they will not, or they'll side with the seller. In this case, Etsy gave them a full return, and it didn't cost me anything. I didn't have to accept the item back, and they didn't take the money back from me. So that was nice that they actually had my back. Of course, the buyer still got rewarded for crappy behavior, but I do appreciate the fact that it happened within 15 minutes. The buyer had escalated it, and within 15 minutes it was closed, and I saw that there was a refund, and I was pissed at first. I was like, are you kidding me? They just took my money and they didn't even have to make them send it back. And then I went and looked at the transaction, and they were like, no, it's covered, and it's covered by your seller protection. So if you do all the things right, Etsy does protect.
Etsy is still my favorite, but I will say, my newly found and beloved identity of a posh twat is bringing me close to saying, like, posh is a close second. It's coming up. I mean, it's leaving eBay. The only thing that makes eBay the favorite in any way is because eBay is where we make our money.
eBay has the volume.
eBay has the volume. So I will say it's pretty freaking sad, eBay, if you're listening to us, it's pretty freaking sad that even with eBay making us more money, it is not my favorite. It's not even my second favorite. That's pretty sad.
Same.
Because we sell on eBay because we have to, honestly.
My favorite is Etsy. It was closely rivaled by Posh, except in the last year, well, maybe not last year, the last 7 or 8 months, my Posh income has definitely gone down. And I'm not really sure what to attribute that to other than live selling, although Katie's doing well. So, Posh and Etsy were neck and neck for like the last 2 years, price-wise and sales-wise. $20,000 to $30,000 a year. I was expecting to hit $30,000 on Posh last year. I did not. And my sales dropped quite a bit on Posh last year. So
let me tell you, Posh is definitely not becoming a favorite because of the amount I'm selling on there. I just love it when I sell something and I know I'm not going to have to worry about having any issues. And I love getting that label. And I love that I have free shipping free shipping materials because I just got a couple of cases of the Tyvek priority bags because everyone's going to be a priority label. It's just really nice. I'm not having to put any money out for the shipping. It's an easy, you don't have to think about it or anything. It's great. Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. So we're running a little bit over time here, 3:15. Vikki was talking way too much. So
did you see her? Do you see how this is?
Anyway, we did talk a little bit about our last week. I did do what I said I was going to do last week. I said I was going to be every day, ending old listings, reworking them. I have been doing that. I've been doing like 20 a day at least. Keeping on top of that because I really do want to change those prices because I do think it's hurting me a lot. A lot of stuff that it's like, come on, if I haven't sold it in over a year, and a lot of that stuff was relisted then, but if I haven't sold it in at least a year, it's priced too high. There's something wrong. And and at this point, I just need to get it out. It doesn't even matter what I paid for it.
Suck it up. Move on.
Yep. So I'm going to continue to be.
You're never going to lose money on it. That's the thing.
No.
Well, you may on some things, or at least you'll break even.
I don't think so, but yeah. So I'm just going to keep doing that. Today's like day 78 days in a row now of 10.
I am not keeping track of all of those days.
I only know I'm keeping track because I knew that after 2023 was over, it was exactly 50 days. So I knew I got 50 days in a row of last month. And then it's 28 now. So I'm pretty good at mathing that together as 78.
Ooh, you're very mathy.
Yeah, I did a lot of like calculations, carried the whatever. Anyway,
dork.
So I'm gonna keep on what I'm doing because there's a lot of work to be done, and yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm still feeling pretty good about it, even though my sales dropped back down a little bit. I'm gonna keep pushing forward. I think that it really does show me that a lot of it has to do with my pricing being too high. Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna do any more 50% off sales because, like I said, now that I'm like turning these over, I'm dropping the prices. I'm not gonna drop it anymore, and it should eventually line back up to where it needs to be.
So I'm just going to answer that question real quick. Who did it 99? 100%. Entitlement and demanding and incredibly rude buyers are becoming way more prevalent than they used to be. It used to be once in a blue moon, you'd get a really crappy buyer, right? We all have them. Nobody's perfect. Sellers are not perfect. Buyers are not perfect. You would always get that crotchety person once in a blue moon. You'd maybe deal with 2 a year, in my opinion. I would deal with 1 to 2 a year, one real jerk. I'm dealing with at least that many a month lately. And I think it's overall, and this is just my little commentary on society overall, people are just much more short-tempered, ruder, demanding, and entitled overall. And I think that common courtesy, patience, and manners have absolutely flown by the wayside lately.
I also think they see the worst in everybody. So it's like when something, maybe a mistake is made or something isn't what they wanted, the automatic assumption
they come
is
out
that
swinging.
The automatic assumption, though, is that it was done purposely.
You're a scammer, you're garbage, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
It's really been very difficult as a seller, as a small business owner. And people think nothing of tarnishing your name or your reputation or your business because it doesn't affect them.
Yeah.
So I think that in general, people are just jerks. And overall, I used to always say, overall, people are good. And I still believe that to be true, however naive that may sound. Overall, I believe people are good. Those that are not, you can't help them. That's not you.
I think overall, people care about other people. I think right now we're in a state of everybody seeing everybody else as other. And when you get into that mindset, it's really hard for you to have like the empathy and like consideration that you have for people, because all you're thinking of them as is other or an enemy. And so it's just, I think, general.
It's just translated into everything.
And, negativity.
And people in general, let's face it, life is hard. Life is difficult for us. Life is difficult for the person to cross the street. I think that in general, when life becomes more difficult, we tend to just be negative, and that negativity is just seeping into everything. And as people say, you never know what other people are going through, but I think that the anger and the frustration and the crappy behavior that is coming out in buyers and how they're treating sellers stems from a lot of other things, and it is never about you.
Well, no, Liz, I completely agree with you. Well, because the reality is sellers and buyers are exactly the same, so there's going to be shitty ones amongst all of them. And let me tell you, I've bought many things off of eBay, and the percentage of those times I've bought off of eBay, the percentage of times it's been a bad experience because of what I got that wasn't disclosed. It happens a lot.
It's about 50-50.
I bought 5 things, a little 5 t-shirt lot off of eBay. I bought a couple of different things off of eBay. I just got the first one yesterday. And did they say in the thing that they were all smelly? Did it say that, they had some issues? Of course not. Of effing course not. And I'm not going to do anything about it because I'm like, whatever, I can wash it. It's not that big of a deal. I'm reselling it. But guess what? You shouldn't be sending stuff out that smells disgusting and is dirty without saying that that's what it is.
I think Susie's right too. It's a lot easier to be an a-hole through messages versus face-to-face. 100%. I mean, let's look at all the keyboard warriors on the real world and on the, on social media and stuff like that. 99.9% of the people that will viciously say horrible things to and about other people online would never have the balls to say it to someone's face. That's face. That's life. So believe me, they wouldn't have the courage to say it to someone's face. So, and I think that translates across the way.
Yeah. Frankie knows what's
here's
up.
Frankie, my
expertise.
My LSW friend. People are reacting from a traumatized perspective, informed by our conditioning from various forms of the media. eBay's another way to act out. Not wrong. And like someone had said earlier, they're victimless. Everybody's claiming victim things. So I'm like Lori. I am going to treat everyone with respect until they treat me otherwise. I'm even going to respond to that first crappy message with total kindness. If you continue in the manner where you're being an a-hole...
There is a point where she flips into psycho...
Licensed mental health counselor. Sorry, I used the wrong acronym. But yeah, I will return that first message, even if they're super snarky coming right out of the gate. I'm going to return that first message overly kind, killing them with kindness, being overly polite, being, kind of like a bless your heart.
It takes a couple messages before she tells
them
to go die.
By the second message, if they do not respond in kind or they don't dial it back a notch, all bets are off. I'm sorry. I don't let people in real life or in business speak to me or type at me in the manner that a lot of people think that they're allowed to do. So that's just the way it works. I don't just sit there and suck it up. There's a lot of people that'll be like, "Oh, it's just a business. Just give them a refund. Just let it go." No, fuck that. It's my business. I don't know who you think you are talking to me like that, but you're not going to get what you want.
I'm more calculated, and I'm like, I will never let anyone know that they got under my skin at all. So I usually, to me, it's not about sucking it up. It's about not giving them what they want. Because if they're a real jerk, because it's like, there's the people who I think are just upset. They think you wronged them. And then there are people who are just really awful or mean, or they want to get a rise out of you. You'll never know.
I've had people apologize, because if people will apologize when things get taken care of, and I take them. I've also been the same person. I'd be like, okay, you can dial this back a notch. I will absolutely use those words. You can take this back a notch. I have not even responded in the manner that you've attacked me in, and there's no call for that. And I'll put you in your place. Whether you accept that place or not is one thing, but I'm not going to just allow it. It just doesn't happen in the real world.
That's why I say there's
online world.
Allowing it and putting someone in their place are not the only options. There's also I'm going to sneakily make you so infuriated because you are not getting the response from me that you prefer.
Okay, that's fair.
Because I more want, it's the psychological warfare is where I come from.
You do realize that I'm also the person that'll throw down and punch somebody in the face, and you never would. So
right, because that's the difference. Because psychological warfare is always better, because you will always come out on top. Doing something like punching someone, that is never, maybe in the moment it's going to feel real good, but it is never going to get you what you want.
Not maybe in the moment. It has never not felt real good in the moment.
That's ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous and silly, and it's never going to get you the result you actually want, and it's only going to go badly. And I'm
going to go back to my white trash redneck upbringing.
There's never any such thing as showing someone. It never happens, okay? Because they have to actually be coming from the same perspective as you to feel shown, and that's just not the reality. Anyway, I am going to seem...
Kelly, that's my sassy girl.
I'm going to seem calm and nice while psychologically I'm setting your house on fire, okay? Anyway, we're going to wrap this up. Please, guys, in the comments down below, if you're watching the show after the fact, let us know how you did last week, what your goals are for this next week, what are your grand plans, who are you going to psychologically destroy in the near future. We want to hear about it. Or recently. We like to hear about petty revenge.
My new show, Throat Punch Sunday.
You can't be hot-headed, guys. You gotta go for the long game. All right?
So Tracy, there's got to be a YouTube video somewhere. No, we haven't done one, but there's got to be a YouTube video somewhere about setting up your Etsy shipping policies.
I don't use Etsy for shipping.
I don't ship through Etsy. First of all, I'm always going to ship through Pirate Ship. So
their discounts aren't as good. So.
Yeah, Pirate Ship is a better discount than you get on Etsy. So you probably need to set up shipping policies on Etsy in the same. Not probably, you do. You need to create shipping policies on Etsy, and that may be what the problem is. I'm not entirely sure how that would have.
I don't know.
Happened,
anyway, but all right, wrapping up, guys. We will see you this next week. Please enjoy the rest of your weekend. And hopefully you will have some awesome sales this week. And we really appreciate you coming and hanging out.
All right.
You got anything else you would
No,
like
that's
to say?
it. Have
Anyone
a great
else
week.
You want to punch?
Aretha Franklin made me laugh. I dig through the bins wearing brass knuckles.
All right, guys. Bye.